We are running a couple of minutes late, but I assure you that it will be worth the wait. We've got two special guests here today, Haley Friedman and Mark Spera. They're going to talk to us a little bit about growth, about a tool that they have. They're going to speak a little bit about SEO. They're joining us from growthmarketingpro.com. If you don't know these guys, stick around. They've got a lot of great insight, and we're going to have 30 minutes here of packed full of information. We will do some interaction with the audience, and shortly we're going to have them share their screen and tell us a little bit about growth and innovation, how to harness SEO during these uncertain times. To get started, I'd love to get a thumbs up or an emoji or a smiley face. If you've joined us from the previous session, say hello. Tell us where you're from. Where are you guys joining us from today, Mark? Haley?
We're here in San Francisco.
Yep, okay. After in San Francisco in Russian Hill. Beautiful sunny day.
Nice. Wonderful.
My bedroom.
That's the same place that everybody is. All right, so we've got some in their respective bedrooms, that is. Rick gave us a pizza. Bogdan's from London. We've got Brazil in the house, Argentina, China, Dublin. What a phenomenal time to do a virtual event, right?
Right.
Cool.
Well, this audience is jam-packed. I'm going to turn it over to you. And I want to remind you that GrowthBar is a partner for the B2C Growth Summit today. And we're very happy to have Mark and Haley. You guys take it away, please.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Hi,
thanks, guys. Hey, so we're over here in San Francisco again. We're Mark and Haley from Growth Marketing Pro. And we recently created a tool, an SEO tool called GrowthBar. We're really excited to share some of our insights with you and, of course, share a little bit about the tool. I think it's Nitin said up at the top here, he thought Jake Gyllenhaal joined. The nicest, best thing I've ever heard, and I'm so happy.
Mark will never forget that. So
that's the best thing I've ever heard. I'm going to screenshot it and send it to my girlfriend. Thank you. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and screen share right now. And we can get going.
Let's do that. If you'll share your screen, I'll focus it so that the audience can see it here.
All right.
All right. Looks good.
Awesome, guys. So I don't know how to present, so I'm going to present like that. There we go. All right. So again, we are Growth Marketing Pro at growthmarketingpro.com. Like I said, we recently created a tool called GrowthBar. So we are Haley and Mark. I am currently the head of growth marketing at a company called Minted. Minted is a stationery company here in the United States, doing about 200 million in revenue. Before that, as of a few months ago, I was the head of marketing at a startup in San Francisco called PlushCare. It's a telemedicine provider. And yes, I left a telemedicine company at the wrong time. They are absolutely killing it right now. And I'm here with Haley. Haley, I'll let you tell them a little about you.
Yeah, so my name is Haley. I'm head of marketing right now at Improvato, a marketing analytics tool. Previously was at Realty Shares, which is where Mark and I met and became partners and launched the idea for starting a marketing blog, which is Growth Marketing Pro. We started Growth Marketing Pro about 3 years ago. It's grown to over 400,000 readers. And I'm sure Mark's going to tell you a little bit more about the success we've had with that and what led us to continue sharing our growth hacks with the world through Growth Marketing Pro, and ultimately build an SEO tool that's really helped us to grow this blog to where it is, as well as helped us through all the companies we've worked at grow their SEO to really the channel that's driven the entire business.
Very good. So first, I wanted to start with some credentials. So a lot of people on the internet, of course, tell you that they are really good at SEO because it's an easy thing to fake. Haley and I have had some really hands-on experience over the last 10 years. So just to brag for a quick second, other than saying that I look like Jake Gyllenhaal, So I'll take that as the first brag. But the second is, here is the traffic at PlushCare, which again is the telemedicine company that I just came from. This is the organic traffic. You can see we hit a peak. Holiday season is our peak of 900,000 organic visitors per month. Here is Growth Marketing Pro. So we just recently crossed 40,000 organic visitors per month. And then recently, funny enough, I started a blog called manlywellness.com. So I did this with another friend, again in the healthcare vertical. I saw from my time at PlushCare that healthcare is kind of a really open opportunity SEO-wise, even though WebMD and Healthlines and some of the other big healthcare players still have kind of a really big foothold in Google. There is still just so much search volume, and some of the competitors are so old that there's a lot of room to grow. So I started this blog about 10 months ago, let's call it something like that. And we recently crossed the 100,000 organic visitors per month threshold. I'll get back to more of that later. This is Haley's handiwork at her company Improvato, which I guess at the time of this screenshot, which was about 6 months ago, they had hit 40,000 organics per month, and I believe have gone even further than that. I believe they were the recipient of a nice little bump from Google's last algorithm update. So
yeah, gotta update that screenshot.
And then finally, our last sort of credential, we'll call it, is our tool GrowthBar. So we have built an SEO Chrome plugin, a Chrome extension, which lives in the SERP, the search engine results page, and gives you insight about things as you search. So here you can see I've typed in growth marketing, gives you a difficulty score based on a couple of factors, including the domain authority of the pages that appear on page 1. You can get word count for every result, as well as organic traffic, backlinks, and then you can actually expose that all in larger lists that are exportable via CSV. We'll get more to that. So why we're here today is that a lot of stuff on the internet doesn't work like it used to. So Haley and I have been around venture-backed startups here in San Francisco for about 8 or 10 years now. And what was working and what all the venture capitalists wanted to hear about 5 years ago was, okay, how can you explode on Facebook? How can you spend $2 million on Facebook tomorrow and return $10 million? Well, that was fantastic 5, 10 years ago. However, as with any ad platform, there is this concept of arbitrage in the beginning. So there's a lot of opportunity, there's not much competition, and therefore CPMs and CPCs are really low. But what's happening today and what are we seeing today work? And I'm sure, you know, in your Facebook feeds, you're probably seeing similar things. There's only certain categories that are really working on Facebook right now. Gone are the days where you could throw up a white t-shirt on Facebook and make it work in a ROAS positive, a return on ad spend positive way. So on Facebook right now, what we're seeing, high ticket items are working. So courses, home remodeling, things that cost $5,000, $10,000, things, products that can affordably acquire users with high CPCs. Very timely items. So I've been seeing the Molecule air purifier, hair buzzers, because everyone's at home and nobody can go get a haircut. Telemedicine. So again, you know, during COVID-19, obviously you can't go see your doctor. So telemedicine, I'm seeing a lot of ads. And then very unique items. And I put a picture of this one, this company Manscaped. Because Facebook is such a visual platform, if you can do things that are sort of outlandish, sort of unique, Facebook does still reward that stuff. So we're not here to tell you Facebook doesn't work. It's just a lot harder to make work. The same is true of Google Ads. So I remember back when I started my digital marketing career, Google Ads were everything. I still think they're fantastic, and I still use them at Minted and at my job, PlushCare. And we've now dipped our toes into it with our tool, GrowthBar. But the problem is, again, like Facebook, CPCs are terrible. There's a reason Google is valued at almost $1 trillion. That's because there are a lot of people willing to pay them for ads. All of your competitors are on it, and the market is just super crowded now. So what happens is you need to bid only on high intent keywords, so things that are really, really spot on to your offering. And then you have the issue of your competitors bidding on your brand, and then you have to bid against them, and all of a sudden you've got a really, really expensive channel. So what do we think works today? Interestingly, to Haley and I, the three biggest places to put investment dollars are SEO, affiliate marketing, and nascent networks. So obviously we're going to talk about SEO today. Affiliate is something really fantastic and we really believe in. So pay per lead sort of advertising with influencers and publications. Haley actually has some incredible articles on growthmarketingpro.com about affiliate marketing and how to launch a really good affiliate marketing campaign. And then finally, nascent networks. What I mean by nascent networks are things like today, TikTok. There is still some arbitrage left in Snapchat. I know when I worked in telemedicine, a lot of our competitors were using Snapchat pretty effectively. So new things, I think digital marketers, great ones, are always on the lookout for what the latest and greatest channel is, because usually that means other people haven't gotten there yet and made the CPCs really, really go up. So getting into SEO, Haley and I really believe in simplification. I tend to think that the world overcomplicates everything. SEOs in particular overcomplicate everything. And if you're a small or a mid-sized company, there's just not that much complication to this. And you can really, really simplify and distill SEO down to 4 things. So in order of importance, in my opinion, keyword research, backlinks, great content, which everyone will tell you, and then some SERP hacking. So again, the search engine results page is kind of an ever-changing, really interesting place where your brand gets exposure, and you need to make the most of that. So these are the 4 categories I want to dive into right now. And I'll even show you a little bit how we use our tool GrowthBar to make some of these things happen. Keyword research. So I think none of this is new news to anyone, but I'm going to infuse a couple of really interesting nuggets in here. So first things first, local SEO. Obviously, the Google Pack and Yelp have taken over the first page of Google search for a lot of local queries. However, I know for a fact, given my work at PlushCare, that it's still possible to crack page 1 of the Google SERP. 2 ways that I like to do this are, 1, picking things outside of the food and retail space. It's just very difficult to rank for that stuff unless you have some great ins with like local directories and so forth. So I think number 1, choosing verticals that are not completely tapped out. So one of the ones that I loved working at PlushCare was urgent care locations. So if you were to search San Francisco urgent care locations, you actually would probably see Yelp and Google results, but you might actually see either PlushCare or one of our competitors, Solve Health, near the top of the SERP. And the same goes for nearly every like city in America. So I think 1, local search in places where there is still arbitrage to be had. Number 2 with local search, which I find interesting, is truly buying old companies and old blogs and old directories. We almost bought a small competitor of our urgent care local finder while I was at PlushCare, and I still think it was one of the biggest missed opportunities we ever had. Google, as we all know, believes in domain authority. It believes in age of domain. And there's just a lot of players that are out there that have the domain authority, the SEO juice already. So if you can afford it, if your company can afford it, sometimes blogs are selling for a couple $1,000s. I wouldn't shy away from that strategy, and I think it's really interesting for local. Next, versus posts. I'm sure nobody knows what this means because Haley and I really feel like we've pioneered this strategy a bit. So to illustrate this best, I'm going to use GrowthBar and do a quick Google search. So Growth Marketing Pro was, WebX. So Growth Marketing Pro makes about $500,000 a year in passive income. And one of our largest categories is in webinar software. So if you were to search best webinar software, for example, we usually rank in the top few results based on the day. Here we are at like the number 6 position or something. You'll click in here, you'll see Haley's beautiful face, and then eventually we sell our favorite tool, which is Webinar Jam. This is one of the ways we make money. And we realized that it's super competitive to get on page 1 of the SERP for things like best SEO software, best webinar software. So as we used GrowthBar to do keyword research, this is GrowthBar, we checked out some of the names of some of the biggest webinar platforms out there. One of the things that we found that was really interesting, and I'm hoping I find it, yep, you'll find that a lot of people do comparison shopping on the internet. This is probably no surprise if you've searched for anything from like basketball shoes to software. You might say like Nike shoe versus Adidas shoe. You'll notice this is true basically across the board in nearly every single vertical. So we have found time and time again that writing content about competitors and pinning them against each other and really showing people how they compare is a very solid strategy for winning in SEO.
And I just want to highlight too right now that like this is something that we have used with our own blog, with all of our clients, with everyone we've worked at. This tip is actually like solid gold, and we've actually never really shared it before. We're almost hesitant to even share it right now. So just, I know Growth Marketing Conference is all about virtual, tactical tips and tricks. And if there's one thing you take away from the webinar today, it's this tip, right
Yep.
now that we're talking about.
Yep. No, it's huge. I forget if I put the screenshot in here. I did. Oh, this is local. Okay. So here, let me go back to sharing my screen, sharing the presentation. Oops, that's not what I want to do. So what I mean by this versus post, you'll see Haley and I have, this is just Growth Marketing Pro. As you guys sort of saw as I was flashing through the blog there, we have a lot of posts that are X product versus another product. You can see some of the biggest ones here: Instapage versus Lead Pages, Zoom versus WebEx, which is the query I was just showing you. And you'll notice we get, I think this is, basically the last 2 years-ish. Is that right? Am I crazy? I don't know. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
we get a lot of traffic for this stuff. Tens of thousands of visitors for really super high intent keywords. Of course, ranking for keywords that are basically like low intent or unrelated-ish to your business doesn't matter. But somebody who's comp shopping 2 things, like that's a really incredible query for you to think about ranking for. Wanted to briefly mention local. There are a couple of companies out there like Clutch, I believe is one of them, that are rating local marketing agencies. So something Haley and I have started doing is actually building out local marketing search pages, local agency pages. So, we took it off the header. So if you want to find like the best SEO agency in the city of, you know, or whatever, sorry, I messed that up, or the best PPC agency, we actually have a finder that allows you to do that. And the reason that's a good one is because, again, local search in categories that are not completely saturated yet can be a really strong thing still.
Cool. Mark, let's show them more about backlinks and how important they are.
Okay. So I'm going to just share one more thing. My new blog, Manly Wellness, we got 77,000 visitors to one page about how to increase penis size last month, or this month. So the final point is high search volume. Things that are really searched, whether they're relevant to you or not, I don't know. Those are really great places to go just because there's a huge pie with which you could take from. All right, backlinking. Backlinking, like Haley's saying, is probably the most important thing in all of SEO. You can see, according to this little graph from Backlinko, the total number of referring domains and how that corresponds to your position in the Google SERP. So the average, according to this study, the average domain on page 1 has nearly 300 backlinks to it, while in position 1, while the average website in position 5 has, you know, just over 50 backlinks. So backlinking is huge. Again, it goes back to the fact that Google cares about authority and they care about age of your domain. They care basically that you're not a bullshit blog on the internet. Google wants to serve the best stuff to the customer, or people will go use DuckDuckGo or Bing. So, So the things, the backlinking strategies that we've found work extremely well, and I put them in up at the top here. I'm sure you can see we feel really strongly about them. Number 1 is PR, and number 2 is guest posting. This varies industry to industry. If you have a local business, you know, guest posting may not necessarily be the best strategy for you. If you have a local business, finding local directories might be a better strategy. But in general, kind of the most overarching advice I can give on backlinks is PR and guest posting. So PR is something that I think is like criminally underrated by almost every company, whether they do SEO or not. It's just a way to tell your story. It's a way to get branded backlinks, and it's really easy. You can make a press release for anything. Maybe you updated your site or you released a new product, and then you just go out and tell the world about it, tell your industry peers about it. And then guest posting. Guest posting is kind of no new news for any SEO, but it is still really effective. And Haley and I have found time and time again that guest posts with anchor text back to our most important blog pages really pay dividends and have been huge for us in our growth over the last year or so.
Yeah, and one of the really interesting things Mark actually sent me a link to this morning, is that we realized that when evaluating all sites that ranked on Google, the number 1 position often has 3.8 times as many backlinks as the positions in number 2 and 3. So I cannot overemphasize this enough, how important backlinks are through PR, guest posting, any other link, you know, acquiring tactics. And actually we're in the process of publishing a whole post about backlinks alone and how to get them, using all of the different ways that we've used to get them. But this is another really important nugget, guys, to take away, the importance of backlinks.
Great. And then content. So again, you'll hear from almost any SEO, content is king. And it really is. Like, at the end of the day, if you don't have great content and people are bouncing off of your page right away, you're just not going to rank in the SERP. So I think, you know, the first thing to understand about content is Google really looks at your bounce rate. So does somebody come to your page, they don't find what they like, and they immediately bounce off and they go somewhere else? Google's going to see that as a signal that your page doesn't have exactly what the reader wants. So you really need to focus on your landing page experience. If you're looking at optimizing your site, look at the pages that are getting the most organic volume and really put yourself in the mind of the Googler. When you hit that page, what do you want to see? It probably is a title related to the topic. It's probably an image related to the topic. And then it's probably a really readable looking post. The next thing is the quality of content. Of course, the content needs to be relevant, readable, particularly on mobile, and people are scrolling through their phones really quickly. So short sentences, 3 sentences, a lot of bullet points are really good because it makes them readable. And then finally, the content needs to be really engaging. So I think, one of the reasons I hitched my wagon to Haley is she makes super engaging content. And if you look at a lot of the stuff on the internet, it tends to be really dry. And Haley does a really great job of making things look awesome and really exciting, because people don't want to read one more silly thing, one more journal publication that's super dry. Like, they want interest. Like, people want to be entertained while they're reading and while they're learning information. So we find for most verticals, healthcare is probably not one of them, but we find that it's really, really important to get engaged or create engaging content.
Yeah, one way to do that too, just to jump in, is fun. Is that the seal? Is to find. Hey.
I just want to quickly. I know that this is, by the way, super valuable stuff, but we have about 2 minutes. So if we can get to maybe key takeaways, that would be awesome. And then you guys can stick around in that room, and you can answer questions. We have some questions for you. So, and in the meantime, we'll go to the next presentation.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Thanks, Cecile.
Oh, yeah. If you want to wrap up like in next couple of minutes, that's maybe some key takeaways. Yeah.
Very good. Haley, I'll just take over really quickly and breeze through. Word count we think is important as well. That's why we made GrowthBar have a feature that allows you to see very quickly the word count of everything on page 1 of the SERP. And then finally, SERP hacking. So there's some really interesting stuff and really interesting ways to get visibility on the SERP. So let me show you these couple of screenshots that I grabbed. So in H2 hack, what we mean here is you'll notice a lot of our blog posts ask a question early in the post, like what is the best landing page software? And then the H3s are all of the answers to that question. In FAQ hack, you'll notice that recently Google has begun surfacing FAQ answers in the SERP. So if you have an FAQ plugin or whatever it might be for your WordPress blog, it's probably a really good idea. And then finally, titles and meta descriptions still really matter. I pulled best webinar software, which is, again, a keyword that Haley and I really care about. And you'll notice every single one on page 1 of the SERP has 2020 in it. And clearly that means that Googlers are finding that a really important thing. Like, people don't want to see old information about their software selections. So that's all we've got. I don't know if we have any time for questions or to follow up on any of this, but Haley and I will stick around, and please read Growth Marketing Pro, check out GrowthBar. We promise you'll like both of them.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate the presentation. And for everyone, if you have any questions for Mark and Haley, go ahead and submit them by asking a question. They will be in the chat for a few more minutes. And then what is the best way to reach you afterwards for those who watch the presentation on demand?
Mark at growthmarketingpro.com and Haley at growthmarketingpro.com.
I'll type our emails into the chat.
Perfect. And thanks, GrowthBar, for partnering with us on this presentation.